Welcome to my English classroom. I'm your English teacher Sheikh Rafi. In our day-to-day life, when we communicate, we use lots and lots of words with a specific purpose. We use the words to indicate names of people. We use the words to indicate the actions that we perform. We use the words to indicate our emotions, our sentiments, etc. So, based on the function or the role that a word plays in a given sentence, all the words in English are divided into different kinds or classes, which are called parts of speech. Now, understanding of parts of speech is very important, because if you know why you are using a particular word, it will help you in improving your language much more. To start today's topic, let us first look at a very simple definition of parts of speech given here. All the words in English are divided into different classes or kinds based on its function or role in a sentence. These are called parts of speech. Now, what we need to focus here is the function or the role played by a word in a sentence. It is the function which is the criteria for deciding what part of speech a word is. So let us see what are these parts of speech. Based on the function or a role played by a word, all words in English are divided into 8 categories, which are called parts of speech. Now, these 8 categories are noun, pronoun, adjective, verb, adverb, preposition, conjunction, and interjection. Dear friends, I could have written all those things in a serial from top to bottom, but why I have categorized is for your easy understanding that these 3 are closely related, whereas verb and adverb are a different category, and preposition, conjunction, and interjection, they are yet another category. Altogether, all of them are parts of speech. Now, parts of speech itself is a very lengthy topic. You know, each topic, each part of speech needs to be discussed in detail. But here in this video, I'm just going to give a brief description of all these parts of speech. Let us look at them one by one. The first part of speech is noun. Now, what is a noun? Noun is a naming word. It tells the name of a person, place, or things. Dear friends, it is a human habit that whatever we see, we name it. We name persons, we name places, we name things, we name relations, we name emotions, we name actions. Everything that we see, if we have to identify it again, we have to name it. So those words that we use for naming these things, those words are called nouns. So noun in a very simple way can be called as a naming word. It tells the name of a person, place, or thing. Let us see some examples. See the first example. Rajiv works in Delhi. Now here Rajiv is name of a person. It is the noun. Delhi, again Delhi, it's a name of a place. So Delhi is also a noun. See the second example. I go to school by bus. So here school is the name of a place and bus is the name of a thing. So school as well as bus, both are nouns. Similarly, in third example, horse is a noble animal. Now horse, it's a name of an animal, and all animals we call animal, right? All creatures we call animal. So animal is also a noun. See the fourth one. Health is wealth. Now health is a condition. We name the conditions also. If everything is well and good in our body, we say he is a healthy person. So health is a noun. Similarly, wealth is also a noun. It's a name of a condition. The fifth one, father, mother, and children make a family. So when I say father, mother, and children, what are they? They are also names. They indicate the relations, names of relations in a family. So even these are nouns. And finally, the sixth one, I kept the book on the table. Now in this sentence, book is the name of a thing, and again table is name of a thing. Now children, again, if you are aware, nouns has also different kinds, but it's a very lengthy topic which I will be taking in a separate video. So right now, for this video, this part of introduction is enough. Let us see the next part of speech. The second part of speech is pronoun. Now children, pronoun means for noun. Pro means for noun, any word, right? What is a pronoun? It is a word which is used in place of a noun. In place of a noun, it substitutes a noun. Generally, when we speak, we don't keep on repeating the names of persons or places. Instead of repeating them, we simply substitute it by a pronoun. Why? Because repeating a noun again and again, it causes confusion. So to avoid confusion, we replace it by pronouns. Now what are pronouns? Words like I, we, you, he, she, it, they, us, them, themselves, ourselves. Many more such words are there which are used to replace a noun. They are called pronouns. Now let us see some examples and try to understand it. For example, the first sentence, Rita is my sister. Here Rita is a noun, and I say that she lives in Bangalore. So instead of saying she lives in Bangalore, I can say Rita lives in Bangalore. But every time I have to use Rita, Rita, Rita again. So instead of repeating the name, instead of repeating the noun, what I do? I replace this noun by the word she. So she is pronoun. She is pronoun. So she refers to Rita. She refers to Rita. Rita is my sister. She lives in Bangalore. So she, it replaces the noun Rita. It is called pronoun. Similarly, see the second example. Father bought a gift. He gave it to me. Now here, father is a noun and gift is also a noun. See the second sentence. He gave it to me. Now in this sentence, he stands for father. So I have replaced the noun father by a pronoun he. So he is a pronoun. And again, he gave it to me. When I say it refers to gift. So we can see here that it replaces the gift. So it is also a pronoun. And finally, me. Me is also a pronoun which refers to myself. So in this sentence, we can see he replaces the noun father, it replaces the noun a gift, and me stands for myself. See the third example. People didn't like the new law. They are protesting against it. Here, people is a noun, and the new law is also a noun. The new law is also a noun here. Now see the second sentence. They are protesting against it. So you can see here that this word they, it is a pronoun. This word they, it replaces the noun people. Instead of people, I am using they. So they is pronoun. They is pronoun. They are protesting against it. It refers to the new law. It refers to the new law. So here it is also a pronoun. It replaces the noun, the new law. Then let us see the fourth example. Peacock is our national bird. It is very beautiful. So here we can very easily understand that peacock is a noun, and this noun is replaced in the second sentence by the word it. So it, as it replaces a noun, it will be pronoun. So it is a very beautiful thing. Finally, the fifth example, I have taken it from the preamble of the Constitution. You can understand the importance of pronoun. We can say that pronoun definitely is very important. The preamble of our constitution, it begins with a pronoun. The preamble of our constitution, it begins with pronoun. We, the people of India. We, the people. So when we say we, it refers to all the people. So people is noun. It refers to all the people. So we say we, the people of India, give to ourselves this constitution. So we can say that pronoun is a very, very important part of speech. Let us see the next one. The third part of speech given here is adjective. Now, adjective is a describing word. An adjective describes a noun or a pronoun. It describes or it qualifies. Qualifies means it adds to the meaning of a noun or a pronoun. So it is a describing word which tells you more about a noun or a pronoun. For example, see the first sentence, Radha is beautiful. Now in this sentence, Radha is noun, right? And how is Radha? Radha is beautiful. So this word beautiful, it tells you more about Radha. It describes Radha. Hence beautiful is an adjective. Beautiful is an adjective. Look at the second sentence. Ganesh is intelligent. Now in this sentence, Ganesh is noun. It's a name of a person. And how is Ganesh? Ganesh is intelligent. The word intelligent, it describes, it qualifies the noun Ganesh. So intelligence is an adjective. See the third sentence, the building is tall. Here the building is noun. Building is noun. And how is the building? Building is tall. Tall is adjective. So in almost all these sentences you can very clearly observe that these words are describing the nouns. Let us see one or two more examples here. The fourth one, I am hungry. Here I is a pronoun. I is a pronoun. How am I? I am hungry. So the word hungry, it describes the pronoun. Hence hungry is also adjective. See the fifth one, he is an old man. So he is pronoun, but here again we have man. Man is a noun. Man is noun. How is the man? It is old. Old is adjective, right? Old describes the noun. This word describes the noun man. So it is an adjective. Similarly, see the sixth example. She is a brave girl. Now here in this sentence, girl is noun. Girl is noun, and the word brave, it qualifies or it adds to the meaning of the word girl, and hence it will be an adjective. So brave is an adjective. It describes or it qualifies the noun girl. And see the last example. I have two brothers. Here brothers is noun, and the word two, it qualifies brothers. It tells or it describes the noun brother. So two is an adjective. Two is an adjective. Now from examination point of view, adjectives are very, very important, because the examiner is going to test your knowledge in understanding of adjectives. So dear friends, you have to keep the basic definition or the basic understanding of the concept very clear in your mind, that any word that describes the noun or pronoun, it simply adds to the meaning of a noun or pronoun. It qualifies a noun or pronoun, and that is an adjective. So you can ask yourself, how is the noun? So if you get the answer for this question, then that must be an adjective only. Okay, so let us see the next part of speech. The fourth part of speech is verb. Again, a very important part of speech which we need to understand very, very thoroughly. Now, what is a verb? A verb is an action word. It tells the action done by the subject. Going a little bit in depth, we also find that it tells not only the action, but it also tells the state or the position of a subject. So here we have to be very, very careful, because there are lots of things that is done by a verb. A verb tells what the subject do. or does. A verb tells what is done to the subject. A verb tells the state of a subject, and verb also tells the position of a subject. Now let us see what they actually mean. Now see this first sentence, Sunil kicked the ball. Now in this sentence, Sunil is subject. Sunil is also a noun here. So as a part of speech, Sunil is noun. So what is done by this subject? What does Sunil do? Sunil kicked. So this is the action done by the subject. So the action done by the subject is called verb. So Sunil kicked. Kicked is verb here. Let us see the second sentence. Mother cooked food. Now in this sentence, if you observe, what is the action done by mother? It is cooking. So mother cooked food. Here the word cooked is verb. It tells the action done by the subject. Now see the third sentence. Ravana was killed by Rama. Now if you try to focus on this sentence, Ravana is not doing the action. The action is done on Ravana. The action is done on Ravana. So again here was killed is verb. So we have to understand this. What is done by the subject is verb. What is done to the subject is also verb. Then fourth and fifth sentence, I'll try to explain you the state. The state of subject. State means the condition or situation. State means the condition or situation. So let us see here, when I say fourth example, they are happy. It tells the condition or the state of the pronoun they. How are they? They are happy. So it tells their present status. So are is verb here. It tells the state, the condition or the situation. Fifth one, he is an honest man. Here is verb. Is verb. It again tells the state or the condition of the man. How is he? Now suppose for example, if you change the verb they are happy, instead of that if you say they were happy, they were happy, we can understand that their status has changed. Their state has changed. Previously they were happy, now they are not happy. So in that way we can understand that these are the verbs. Why? Because they tell the state of the subject. Then finally, possession. Verb also tells the possession. For example, I have a car. When I say I have a car, it means I own, I possess a car. I possess a car. So here the verb have is the verb which tells the possession, which tells the possession. Similarly, the seventh example, she has lot of money. Here the word has is a verb because it tells the possession of the subject. So that's a simple way of understanding verb. We have to keep in our mind the different functions done by the verb. It tells the action done by the subject or whatever is done to the subject. It also tells the state of the subject and the possessions of the subject. Now if you try to keep this concept in your mind, it will definitely help you in understanding the verb much better. Let us see the next part of speech. The fifth part of speech is adverb. Now adverb is also a describing word. Now we had one more describing word which we discussed earlier, an adjective. We understood that adjective describes noun or pronoun. Now let us focus here, understand what does an adverb do. An adverb is a describing verb. It describes a verb, an adjective or another adverb. So adverb qualifies or describes three things. It describes a verb, an adjective or an adverb. How? Let us see it through examples. Now see the first example. The old man walks slowly. Here we have to first understand What is the action done by the old man? The old man walks. Walks is verb. And how he walks? He walks slowly. So the word slowly, it describes the action. It describes the action, the verb. So the word slowly, it describes the verb. Hence slowly will be an adverb. See the next sentence. The soldiers fought bravely. Now here in this sentence, fought is the action, that is verb. How they fought? They fought bravely. So the word bravely, it describes the action, the verb. It describes the verb. So it is an adverb. So in these first two sentences, we can notice that adverb slowly and bravely, they are describing verbs. They are describing verbs. So first criteria, a word that describes a verb is an adverb. Let us see how an adverb describes or qualifies an adjective. See the next two sentences. The sea is quite calm. Here we are talking about sea. Sea is a noun. How is the sea? How is the sea? The sea is calm. So calm is actually adjective. Calm is adjective. Why? Because calm describes the noun. Calm describes the noun. So calm is adjective. Now see this word quite. Quite calm. How much calm? It is quite calm. So quite is a word which describes the adjective calm. So quite here is an adjective. Quite here is an adjective. Here the word quite is describing or qualifying an adjective. See the next example. She is very beautiful. So when I say she is a pronoun. How is she? She is beautiful. So beautiful here is adjective. Beautiful here is adjective. Sorry, here it should be adverb. She is beautiful. So beautiful qualifies pronoun she. So beautiful is an adjective. How much beautiful? Very beautiful. So the word very, it is intensifying the adjective. It is qualifying the adjective. So it is an adverb. It is an adverb. So in this way we can notice here that in example 3 and 4, the adverbs are qualifying adjectives. Adverbs are qualifying adjectives. So we can say that adverb qualifies an adjective. Now let us try to see examples where an adverb is qualifying another adverb. Let us see example number 5. Servant works very slowly. Now here the action is works. How the servant works? Slowly. So works is verb. So slowly will become adverb. It describes the action, the verb. How they work? They work slowly. How much slowly? Very slowly. So here the word very is qualifying slowly. It describes slowly. Slowly is adverb. So it will also be adverb. So here we can see one adverb is qualifying another adverb. See the last example. She played quite well. Here played is verb. She played. How she played? She played well. So well is adverb. How well? Quite well. So the word quite is qualifying the adverb well. So here quite is also an adverb. So in the last two examples, we can see that adverbs are qualifying another adverbs. So it is qualifying another adverb. So this is what we have to keep in our mind, dear friends. Adverbs, adjectives are really challenging, and most of the times examiner tests the knowledge of the students in these two topics. Both are describing words. An adjective describes a noun or a pronoun, whereas an adverb, it describes a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. Let us see the next part of speech. The next part of speech is preposition. Now you have to understand here the meaning of preposition. Pre positioned. So it is a word which is generally placed before a noun or pronoun. And what does a preposition do? A preposition is a word that shows how a noun or a pronoun is related to other words in a sentence. So it shows the relation between noun and pronoun with other words in a sentence. Let us try to understand this by looking at some examples. For example, the first sentence, I am in Delhi. So here if I say I am Delhi, it will create a lot of confusion, and maybe some of you will laugh. Sir, how can you be Delhi? So you will understand that there is something seriously wrong with the sentence. I am not Delhi. So there is no relation between I and Delhi. So for establishing a relationship, we use a preposition. Here in is preposition which shows how the noun or pronoun is related to other words in a sentence. So when I say I am in Delhi, the sentence becomes more meaningful. See the second example, she is going to school. Here to is preposition. The third example, he was born on Sunday. So on is a preposition here. The cup is on the table. Again here on is preposition. You should not fight with others. Here with is another preposition. And finally sixth one, she begged for help. So here for is a preposition. So in all these sentences you will see that either noun or pronoun, they are related to other words in these sentences. Now this relationship is established by prepositions. So lots and lots of prepositions are there, like in, on, above, up, under, below, across, at, by, for, through, with, to, etc. Many more such words are there. So though prepositions are very small words, but they create or they make a lot of sense in the sentence. Let us see the next part of speech. The next part of speech is conjunction. Conjunctions are those words that joins or connects two or more words, phrases, clauses, or sentences. So we can say that conjunctions are joining words. They join two or more words, clauses, phrases, or sentences. Here I have given some examples of conjunctions: and, or, but, when, while, as, since, because, unless, until, for, also, as, since. Many more such conjunctions are there. We will discuss all these conjunctions in detail in the following videos. But right now let us try to understand by looking at some of the examples. See the first example, Jack and Jill went up the hill. Now here actually two sentences are there. We can say Jack went up the hill. We can say Jill went up the hill. But instead of speaking two different sentences, I am joining the two words Jack and Jill. So the word I use to join these two words is and. So and is conjunction here. Jack and Jill went up the hill. Similarly, the second sentence, they played well but lost the match. Here two sentences are there. They played well, they lost the match. But instead of using two different sentences, I connect them by using the word but. So but here is a conjunction. They played well but lost the match. Similarly, the third one, Sunil is absent because he is ill. Sunil is absent is one sentence. He is ill is another sentence. We join the two sentences using because. So because is a conjunction here. See the fourth one, unless you work hard, you will not pass. So here two sentences are there. You work hard, and number two, you will not pass. We are using the word unless to join these two sentences. Unless you work hard, you will not pass. So unless is the conjunction here. And again the last sentence, fifth example, though he is poor, he is honest. So here two sentences are there, he is poor, he is honest. Both these sentences are connected using the word though. So though is conjunction here. So conjunctions and prepositions are very easy and comparatively less difficult with other topics. So I hope you understood this. Let us see the next topic. The last and the eighth part of speech is interjection. Now what is an interjection? An interjection is a word that expresses a strong or sudden feelings or emotions. So these are like yells or sounds that we make to express our feelings or emotions. Let us see, for example, the word bravo. Bravo is a word that we use to applause when something does something good or achieves something. We applause him by saying bravo. Similarly, the word hooray. Hooray is a word which we use to express our joy, happiness. The word like alas. Alas is a word we use when we are really sorry or very sad. Then again the word like wow. Wow is a word which we use for amazement. Similarly, there are a number of other words, for example, ah, oh, or har. These are all the words that we use for expressing our feelings or emotions. These are all called interjections. Let us see how they are used in a sentence. In the first sentence, for example, you say, hooray, we won the match. So they have won the match, they are very happy, and they express their emotion by the word hooray. So hooray is an interjection. An interjection always is followed by an exclamatory mark. So we can very easily identify interjections. See the second sentence. Alas, she is dead. So she is dead. It is a sorrow incident, and we use the word alas. So alas is used for sorrow feelings. Next word is bravo. Bravo is a word that we use for applauding, right? So bravo, you did well, you have done well, so we appraise you. See the fourth word, wow, it's a nice car. So here the word wow is used to show our amusement. So it is an interjection. And finally the last word, ah, did I miss something? So here ah tries to show our surprise. So in this way we can understand that interjections are the words that show our feelings or emotions. Dear friends, these are the 8 parts of speech in which all the words are divided. Beyond this, there is nothing. So if a student gains the knowledge of these parts of speech, it is definitely going to help him a lot, not only in their studies, but also through all the competitive exams. So that was all about parts of speech. I hope all of you understood and enjoyed today's video. Dear students, please follow me for much more such useful videos which I will be frequently bringing up for you. So please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.